Hey, welcome to another episode of the Matt and Fiona show. Maybe. I didn't explain it. It's fine.
I'm saying nothing.
We're going to get into a fun little topic right off the top. Talking about staying committed.
Yes.
And how easy/hard it is to stay committed. But because these all seem to sort of flow together, it's not that hard to stay committed when you make that decision
to stay committed.
Commitment is really another one of those key parts of your life that I think probably gets overlooked a little bit, but also
It can very easily.
Yeah. It's one of those things, and there are so many aspects of your life that you have to be committed to, right? We could talk about commitment to your family. We could talk about commitment to, honestly, yourself.
Oh.
In a healthy manner.
Yeah.
Trying to be the best version of you that you can. We're definitely going to talk about commitment to church. I know you're shocked.
Yeah.
But it is. Commitment is another one of those foundational principles that affects every part of your life.
Yeah.
So in your relationships, as we kind of talked about in a couple of episodes before, you have to make the decision to love that person, right? You have to make the decision to stay committed to that person, and don't let your mind go into a bad area. That's not the only part of commitment that we're talking about.
Right.
Like, that's the juicy one, but it's not the one that really you should be focused on, because that shouldn't be a thing.
Hopefully not.
No, that shouldn't. Yeah,
right.
That should not be where your head's at. Commitment to your relationships and to your family should be simple. Should be something that is not that hard to do.
Right.
But it really is. We've got a couple of friends, right? Mm-hmm. And they all have, shall we say, interesting hobbies that take precedent quite often.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we didn't talk about going here, but this is where I want to go.
Go for it. I know where you're going now.
You and I, and again, maybe we're the outliers, and maybe we're a great example, maybe we're a good example, maybe we're just an okay example. I don't know.
We'll find
But
out.
for us, we have a commitment to our family.
Very much so.
That is really the be-all and end-all.
Right.
I don't need a bunch of friends that I go hang out with and have boys' trips and do all these things with the guys, because I'm more committed to, and again, I'm not putting it down if you do that. Good for you.
Yeah, that's not what we're getting at all. But
I'm committed to our family and spending time with our family. You, in the same manner, you don't necessarily go and do a bunch of girls' trips or go do girls' shopping trips or all this other stuff.
Right.
Although that might be fun.
Right.
But we're committed to us. So we spend a lot of time together doing things together. And again, I realize that not everybody's like that, but bear with me. What a big part of that is I'm not going to put some random thing that I want to do above the commitment that I've made to us.
Right.
To you and me, to you, myself, and the kids. So I'll give you a fun example. Maybe a fun example, we'll see. I really enjoy playing golf. It's fun for me.
You do.
I like it.
Especially in the nice weather.
Yeah. But I don't play a lot of golf.
No.
For a couple of reasons. One, I'm busy. I run a company. I got stuff to do. Two, if I'm going to go play golf, that's 4 hours minimum, because we play 18. We don't play 9. We play 18. That's how it's supposed to be done. Deal with it. Typically, it's going to be 5 hours.
I was going to say, yeah, you're gone for
and
solid
depending
5 hours.
where we play,
Yep.
it could be 6. Mm-hmm. Now, that's not to say that I don't go and play those rounds occasionally.
Right.
But it has become, especially since we've had kids,
Right.
it's become, it's not the norm.
No.
And the reason for that is because, and again, not that you had nothing to do with this, but this was not your decision. You've never made a deal about it.
Right.
But I have a really hard time sacrificing 5 hours to go play golf, even though I enjoy it, when that's time that I could be home with you, with the kids,
Yep.
doing something fun, doing something around the house, getting
Doing something
done.
together.
Again, not that I don't enjoy that, but I'm at a stage in my life where I don't have that flexibility at time. Because again, I'm working.
Right.
So I'm not going to take Saturday morning to go play golf when I could be home with you guys.
Right.
Doing something.
Right.
Right?
And I appreciate that.
I'm sure you do.
Just going to throw that out there.
I enjoy hunting. I try to hunt at times when most people are still sleeping.
Yes.
We hunt at legal hunting hours. Don't get it twisted. But it's pretty rare that I'm going to choose to go do that
Right.
and spend all morning out in the woods, as enjoyable as that is for
Right.
me. If it's 9 o'clock and the kids are up and moving on a Saturday, I'm coming home.
Yeah.
I'm going to be
Again,
home for a late breakfast
I appreciate it.
because I try to take that commitment to our family as kind of a big deal.
And I'll just throw this in there. Because of the commitment that you make to our family, there's also a huge level of trust there that if I know he's going out to go play golf or go hunt or do something, which again is a rarity, I also know that he's gonna come home. And he's not gonna do it every Saturday. I know I'm still gonna get him. And I know that because he is committed to us and our family, that those aren't going to be that's not going to be the be all and end all of how you spend your free time.
Right.
It's going to be the outlier.
Yeah.
And because of that, I then don't have that angst or almost hatred of him going to do it.
So you don't hate golf. Cool. That's what I'm taking away
No,
from
you
this.
go for it.
Now, to change direction slightly, one of the other things that, because again, we don't have a commitment issue in our relationship.
No, we do not. We're solid.
In any way, shape, or
No,
form.
we're solid.
But the one that comes up a lot, just because of the way our life is commitment to church.
Right.
And to your walk. And it's really easy to sit there and say, yeah, we're committed, right? It is.
Absolutely.
It's really
You
simple.
see the same most things.
Really easy to go down that vein of being committed in that way. Now, where it gets tough is as we get older, as we have our kids getting older. I went through a time growing up where, there was an opportunity, because I used to do a lot of ski racing.
Yes.
And I was reasonably good. But I hit a point in that progression where the hill I skied at locally wasn't big enough.
Yeah.
And I needed to move up to a bigger hill. And part of moving up to a bigger hill meant that we had to race on Sundays.
Yeah.
Because that's when they raced. And, my dad has told a story for years about him playing baseball. And the team that he played on needing to, or wanting to play on Sunday.
It's on Sundays.
And they said that he wasn't going to play unless they moved, right? The games to Saturday. In my case, we just didn't, that wasn't we didn't make a big enough deal about it, but also I just knew it wasn't going to happen.
Right.
And again, you might look at it and go, oh, well, it's easy for him. He's a pastor's kid, blah, blah, blah. But trust me, I really enjoyed it. I would have loved to be able to move up to that
Yeah,
level.
you could have either been, you had a choice.
Yeah.
You could have either been committed to church, or you could have been committed to skiing.
Yeah.
You did. You came to a crossroad.
And, again, it's really simple to do the pastor kid, the PK card on that one and be like, oh, it was an easy decision for him. And honestly, it was, but not because I'm a PK.
Well,
that didn't, like, my parents didn't make that decision.
I'll go off of that because I'm not a PK.
No, you're not.
I am not a PK. I married into this wonderful family. But even before I met him, I'm actually a prodigal, and I'm very grateful for that. But once I got myself back to church and made the decision and that commitment that I was choosing church over pretty much every other aspect of my life, one of the things that I did was I was a swimmer. And later on in life, I became a swim coach. And honestly, it was one of the things I loved. I loved coaching. We actually just found newspaper clippings not too long ago of me and my coaching days. And on two different occasions, one of them, I was coaching one of the swim teams, and they had come to me and said, we really want you to take this part of it. Now, in New York, where I was going to church, we had services on Thursdays, and I had praise and worship practice on Saturdays, and I had church on Sundays, obviously. And wouldn't you know that the services or the swim meets were Tuesday, which were fine, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. So here I am, out of the 4 days that we had meets, I could really only make one of them because I had a commitment to church. And so I went to them and I said, look, I'd love to coach this group. However, my commitment is first to church. And lo and behold, guess what? They wanted me to coach. They understood and respected my decision, and I still got hired. Yeah. And I still coached, and they knew I couldn't, and I found somebody, there was another coach, it wasn't just me, but I took that position with the understanding, forthright, that church was first. I also coached a high school swim team, and many times if they had meets on Thursdays and they were away meets, my head coach knew. I was again I was one of the assistant coaches, so I wasn't the only coach there. But if we had a swim meet on Thursday and it was an away, they knew that I wasn't going on the bus and I was driving so that I could leave the swim meet to get to church. And nobody ever had a problem with it. This wasn't anything that I had to hum and haw or debate over or, go through, should I, shouldn't I? It was a decision. And because my decision first was I'm committed to my church because I'm committed to my walk with the Lord. I'm committed to my Jesus. And we have church on Thursday. So at this point in time, I was teaching, I was going to grad school, and I was coaching. So I was not...
You sound a little lazy, really.
Yeah, I know.
That's only
quite
3
lazy.
things.
And, they were all...
Just three.
Just three.
Just
They
three.
were not in the same town.
Did you have a part-time job? You should have done some tutoring.
Actually, I did. Wasn't going to go there, but I did. But again, my commitment was church, and because I made that decision, I wasn't a PK. I wasn't... That was my decision. It was my church. It was my walk with the Lord. And because I had that commitment, even though I had everything else going on, I was able to do it all and not affect my commitment to church.
Right. I think it's one of those things where it's so easy to be lackadaisical in that commitment.
Or, as we've discussed before, make excuses
Yep.
as to why something doesn't work.
But when you can, and when you're strong enough to make that commitment, a lot of times you won't get pushback like you did.
No,
with the
I
swim
didn't.
team.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to be aware that if you're going to make that commitment, and if you're going to choose to stand by that commitment, that opportunity, in your example or your case of being a swim coach, that could have disappeared.
Yeah.
And
I was okay with it if it did.
And that's the key, is if you're okay with that, then that's cool. We had a situation where our oldest had been playing soccer for a couple of years.
Yes.
And again, he's just a little kid, so it's not.
He's 7.
Wasn't going real
Almost
far.
8.
But when he was moving up and getting to the point where he had to play, because of his age, he had to play
the time
into
change.
the 6 to 7 age group. The team that he had to go play for moved from Saturdays to a practice on Wednesdays and a game on Saturday. And he loves soccer. He had a blast doing it.
Oh, yeah.
And again, we're talking real basic soccer. Calm down. But when we saw the schedule come out, one, he's a kid, so he didn't get to make this decision. We looked at it and we talked about it, went, that's going to butt up with church.
So we're not doing it.
So we're not going to do it. And there are thousands of, well, maybe not thousands, but there's a lot of sports he can play. He'll be fine. We looked at it and we went, nope, that's not going to work for us.
We made that decision.
Yeah, it's not going to work for us. And a little while later, he'd come up to us. I think he came up to you.
Yeah.
And was like, Mommy, why am I not playing soccer this year? And
all I had to say was, well, practices are on Wednesday nights. He knows it's church, and he looked at me and he said, oh, that makes sense.
And he was fine with it. And, again, we didn't get into a huge conversation with him.
No.
Partially because we didn't need to.
No.
Just because of where he was at. But in his brain, because he's lived his entire life with us, going to church with our level of commitment to our local church, where if the doors are open and there's a service, we're there. If there's a work party, we're there.
Yep.
If the doors are locked, I'm still typically there, getting something done. But so he has this understanding. It's ingrained in him that Wednesday nights are church, nothing else happens.
Yeah.
Because we have church. And
he's okay with it. And he would rather
he'd much rather be
at
at
church.
But I think it's hard for a lot of people they don't get that.
So, go ahead, but I'm going to say something when you're done.
Because they don't necessarily have that commitment in really anything else. The only other thing, again, don't take that offensively, but most people, the only thing that they're committed to routinely, family aside, is their work, their job. That's
Because they need the paycheck.
That's the only thing that is a routine commitment to them, right?
Now, I'm just going to throw this in real quick.
Yeah.
When it comes to commitment, I find a lot of times, and this is honestly just from talking to people, one of the biggest things with commitment, committing to church or whatnot, is if something else comes up, they're afraid of what they're going to miss.
Right.
Very rarely do people think, oh man, if I miss church, what am I going to miss? If I miss hearing and listening to pastor, what am I going to miss? But if there's a sports event, or if there's, I don't know, we don't do much else. Just being honest, like we do, but I've noticed that so many people are, I mean, honestly, I'm afraid I'm going to miss going to bed early sometimes, or I'm afraid I'm going to, yes.
I miss going to bed early.
Oh, I miss going to bed. I miss just, anyway, it's a whole other story.
I'm kidding, I'm a night owl. I don't go to bed early.
Well, but no, people so often are afraid to make the commitment to church because they're afraid of what else they're going to miss without realizing and understanding.
But what's crazy is, and again, I don't know if everybody's a church person or a Christian person who's listening, but I'm assuming the majority of you are. Why don't we ever have, to your point, that FOMO feeling for church? Because for the average Christian, we'll say, from our types of churches, I'll just say it, they're not that committed. They might be committed to Sunday morning, but they're not necessarily always committed to foundational truths at our church, which is like a pre-service service. They're typically not committed to Saturday night prayer or midweek service. And again, punch in your services at your church and look at your schedule, and you'll see pretty quick. But where's the FOMO? The fear of missing out, depending on your age. But where's the FOMO for? God, I can't believe I'm saying that much. Why don't you get concerned, fear of missing something in a church service? Because something that our pastor says all the time is it only takes one word.
Yeah.
One word from God can totally change your life.
Yep.
And you never know when that's going to happen. So, if your head is in that space, that I'm not waiting, but I'm seeking that one thing, that one impactful statement, that one word, that one impartation, that can totally change my life, change my position, change the direction, set me free, right? Why wouldn't you want to be committed?
Yeah.
Because it again, we commit to so many other things in our lives.
Yeah.
I've never, and again, I'm a PK, I get it, I'm used to it. You don't have to tell me anything in that vein because I've heard it all. But I didn't think that commitment was that hard. And yet, in the 35 something years that I remember being in church, the revolving door of people who are only quasi-committed amazes me, because you're either in it for some social aspect, because it's just what you do. You go to church. It's that aspect is part of your identity, but you're only at this level. And being fully committed is up here. Right? And it's not that hard to be fully committed.
Well, what do you want? And again, we've started this because we want to be encouraging. We started this because...
And everything we said, I'm sure, was encouraging. It was not offensive.
But we talk to a lot of people. We see a lot of people even in our church, people who've left our church, people who are fighting in life, people who are committed in other churches, because we have a lot of people that we're connected to in our position in other churches. But through all of this, we see that, obviously out there in the world, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. And so we started this because we want to be encouraging, and we want to just kind of have some real talk about, issues that people are facing or curious about. And being committed to church, in the church service, that's where the anointing is. That's where Jesus is. That's where the word is. That's where you're getting...
You're going to get set free.
Yeah, that's where healings are. That's where freedom is. That's where peace is. So why do we want to be committed, to all these other frivolous things, which they really are frivolous, but yet our longing and our desire to be committed to one of the most powerful places on earth, really? Why is our commitment in that area lacking? We need healings, we need freedoms, we need prosperity, we need peace, we need joy.
We talk about it all the time, and we hear it all the time from people. They're desiring something from God, right?
Yeah.
They want a healing, they want increase, they want relationships restored.
Right.
A variety of things.
The list goes on and on and on and on.
But they don't do some of the basic things that show.
I'm just going to seek ye first the kingdom of God, and then all these things shall be added unto you. But, so many people take that, and all these things will be added unto you. Great, I'm going to have all these things. But they forget the first part, seek ye first.
Yeah.
That's commitment.
Yeah, that's showing
right?
your commitment.
That is
Yep.
commitment. You have to seek first. So that means you have to show your commitment. It's our part first. We don't get anything until we first give. And that's
Well,
basic principle.
It's basic salvation, right?
Yeah.
Like, God wants to save everybody. But if he just saved everyone,
And just gave it to us.
it would mean nothing.
Right.
Whereas when you have to call out to him and essentially make that first step,
Confess, believe, repent.
that's where salvation comes from.
Yep.
And everything that I continually hear people looking for and seeking, they're quite often doing it without that integral first step of being
Right.
committed.
Right.
And them themselves seeking. And again, we can all do this better. Right? This is not a we're
absolutely.
awesome. We are, but this is not just a we're awesome. This is a encouragement of, like, heck, we're talking to us as much as we're talking
Yeah.
to hopefully you.
Yeah.
But it is something as simple as take a look at your commitment, see where you're at, because I challenge everybody, us included, that you can be more committed.
Right.
And if you get more committed and if you are actively trying to be more committed,
Yeah.
there's more freedom there.
We see a lot of people hurt. We see a lot of people struggle. Everybody does, I'm sure. But if there's a way or an answer to get above and beyond and get past that hurt and find the breakthroughs, why? And there's a solution and an answer to all of it. Why wouldn't we want to sit here and talk to you and hopefully encourage somebody to know that there's more. But you need to take the steps. You need to make the commitment. You need to stop making the excuses. And it falls.
Maybe take some ownership.
Maybe take some.
That's
Some
called a
ownership.
callback.
That's a call. Yeah. But why wouldn't we want to bring this to people's attention that there is more out there, but it's not what you can take, it's what you can give and put in and put forth yourself, because what is on the other end of it.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Excellent. So yeah, go get more committed.
But
You can do it.
You can do
You
it.
can do
You
it.
can just make the decision
To make a commitment.
to make a commitment. Hey, if you are only last tidbit. If you are
Last tidbit.
If you're only going to say one service a week at your church and they have 3, even if it means once a month you're going to try to make it to the other one,
Baby
do
steps.
it. Do it. Do something to step forward, because if you're just standing still, you're really moving backwards. And so we want to encourage you, everybody that we can, to take a step forward. And
That was a wonderful tidbit.
well, I thank you. I
It
thought
was.
so too. So take that
But now I
step.
want a tidbit. So, on that note, thanks again for watching this episode. Stay tuned for more.
Yes.
Go back and check the previous ones, because we
Yes.
called back like 3 of them, I think, in
Yeah,
this one.
just on this episode alone.
Yeah, we're doing our best to keep them all intertwined, because why not? So, thanks again for watching. Reach out to us with the information below.
Linked below.
And
Be happy to
give
hear
us,
from you.
Give us some feedback, or
Anything you want to talk about, or you want us to talk about, I guess.
ooh, that's opening a can. But it'll be fun. So, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.
All right. Bye.